Welcome back to my channel, guys. Now, like I said in the previous video, I'm filming with a new setup and I'm still going through a bit of a cold and it still annoys the house, so hopefully you can hear me and hopefully everything looks alright. If not, please leave me in the comments what you think. But moving on, I'm going to do the Farewell Witches of East End review thing. Don't really know what I'm going to call it, but that's basically the general title, so I'm going to dive in. So, the beginning of the series, we leave off from series 1, where Joanna, Wendy, all the witches have fought the shapeshifter, which turned out to be Dash's and Killian's mum, which was a bit creepy in itself. But moving on from that, she sort of poisoned them. So the first series is all about basically Joanna being poisoned. Now it turns out that in the end of series 1, something came through the door from their old world, and it turns out that that was Joanna's old son. So we have sort of the complications of what his personality is going to be like, what he's going to do, and they don't actually figure out that he's come through. It's either to the end of episode 1 or it's the beginning of series 2. So, not beginning of series 2, beginning of episode 2, sorry. So yeah, there's that. It does turn out that in the episode that he pops up in, he does actually get rid of Joanna's poison, so he's all happy and, sort of in with the in crowd, but it does actually turn out that he has an ulterior motive. Now it turns out that through the portal, he's brought back his dead granddad, basically in his soul. It's a bit really strange. If you haven't watched Witches of East End, then yeah, you're going to think that a lot of this is strange, but moving on. So we had basically the complications of him carrying the soul of his dead granddad through the portal and what he was going to do. Turns out that the reason he was carrying the soul is because the granddad wanted to come through the portal and basically be reborn in the new world. In our world, if that makes sense. So yeah, moving on from that, you then have the also complication of the fallout of Freya saying no to Dash that she doesn't want to marry him. So that's another storyline in itself. And yeah, it's very strange and complicated. It turns out that throughout the series, Dash sort of falls in love with Ingrid, which is just weird and twisted anyway, but moving on. Episodes 3, 4, sort of that sort of, basically 3 to about 8, it's more or less all about Frederick trying to bring back his dead granddad through basically from his soul into another body so that his granddad can become alive again. I'm aware it's very twisted, trust me, I know. Now, you have like little side storylines, like for instance, you have a love, what's the word I'm looking for, a love, basically Wendy falls in love with a mortal, and a few episodes is all about her dating and trying to keep it a secret from Joanna and the rest of the family, because she knows that as soon as she finds out that Wendy's basically sleeping with a mortal, that Wendy then has to put a spell on him for him to forget the entire witches sort of coven thing. So yeah, it's very strange. I am going to go through to the end, more or less, so episodes sort of 8 through 13, which basically you find out that they find out that Frederick is trying to bring his dead granddad back to life, and they're not happy about that because it turns out that the entire reason that they're in the mortal world is because the granddad sort of threw them there. Turns out that Killian has married someone because basically at the beginning of the series, Dash sort of threw him across the world. Not 100% sure how that happened, but there you go. And yeah, so that's a bit strange, but it turns out that he's married and they come back to East End to, show off the wife. Turns out she's a witch as well, and that she's basically the only way that she can stay alive is that by the end of one of her children dying, she has to become pregnant again, otherwise she dies. It's really twisted. But moving on from that storyline, you also then see Ingrid and Dash sort of start to fall in love because Ingrid's helping Dash come to terms with his powers and what he's done. Turns out that Dash goes really, really dark, warlock, evil side, and kills 2 people. Basically, when he sort of threw Dash away from the boat into the middle of the earth, someone saw him, and they were basically blackmailing him. Turns out he'd not killed Killian, but he thought he had killed Killian, which is weird. And yeah, someone was blackmailing him. So by accident, he accidentally kills them. So then, a couple of episodes later, his dad comes looking for said person that he was accidentally killed, and he has to kill him as well. Along the end of the series, you find out that Dash is sort of seeing someone else because he falls out of love with Freya, and yeah, Freya finds out that he's killed people, so she wants nothing to do with him, and that he starts dating this weird, let's just put it, provocative woman. Basically, it turns out that she's an FBI agent trying to get him for murder, which she does eventually do in the series finale, but I'll talk about that in a moment. You then see that Killian's wife never becomes pregnant, so she sort of dies. And that's sort of, before episode 8. So episode 8 to 13 is basically about this. It turns out that something happens and Freya and Ingrid are killed. Now, the only way that Wendy can see that bringing them back to life without any repercussions is bringing back her dad, which is a big no, because he's really evil. So basically they bring him back, and it turns out that Frederick has sort of put his granddad into Wendy's lover's body. Are you keeping up? Because it was very complicated. And then he sort of comes back to life and makes Freya and Ingrid and Joanna, I think, actually dies as well, back to life again. Or Joanna goes into a bit of state of, cuckoo, shock, not going to deal with everything, going to sit in my bedroom and will try to kill myself. She does actually try to kill herself, which is a bit strange. So, Freya and Ingrid are brought back to life. Joanna finds out that Wendy's brought the dad back to life, which is really no. And it turns out that episodes 8 through 13 is all about Joanna trying to kill her dad. Now, the way that she figures out to do this is to go get a magical box thing back from the past. So she goes through the time window, or time door, or whatever it's called, which is, shouldn't have done that, and she goes back to the 1860s, where it turns out that Freya's boyfriend in the 1860s is also Killian, but not Killian, it's Edgar Allan Poe, which is just twisted and creepy in its own sense, but moving on from there. She gets back the little box thing from the past Joanna, and then it turns out that the Grandad has sent one of his minions back into the past to try and get Joanna to stay there, because it turns out that if they stay there past the door vanishing, their sort of blood boils and they die, which is really twisted. So episodes 8 through 12 and 13 is all about them trying to get back, because they accidentally lose the key and the box that they need to get back to the future, and yeah, it's a bit weird. You also then see sort of the flashbacks to the actual present day, which is Dash and his new provocative, let's just call her that, friend, sort of sleeping around doing all this, and it turns out that she's trying to get him for murder. She does eventually get him for murder, which is the season finale. So I'm going to actually move on to the season finale. I thought I'd do this in little sections so that you could try and sort of keep up. The season finale was twisted anyway. Turns out that Freya, Joanna and Wendy are all still stuck in the past. They have to find a way to get through to the present day. It turns out that the dad has sort of put a spell on Ingrid so that she loses her powers, and she has to try and find and get them back. The only way that she can figure out to do that is for her and Frederick to kill the dad, so they have to go to Dash, who has these weird journal things full of really dark mythical spells so that they can do that. So they do that, and they do eventually kill him. Wendy, Joanna and Freya do actually get back to the present day, but not without Ingrid actually helping them. Everyone keeping up? Because, trust me, I got lost quite a few times throughout this series. Now, right at the end, they do actually kill the dad, which is really good, because it's... The entire season, to me, the reason I started watching the season is because it was very Charmed-esque. If anyone can remember that show, please let me know in the comments. And the season finale was very Charmed-esque in the fact that in Charmed, it was always the power of 3, so they had to all get together to do really big spells. And in this season finale, all 4 of them had to get together, which was, if I remember right, the dagger, the key, the bridge, and the traveller, which it turns out Ingrid's the key, Freya's the traveller, Wendy's the bridge, and Joanna's the dagger. Obviously, Joanna's the dagger because Joanna's the powerful witch, so yeah. They do actually kill the dad. Now, the bit after this is the bit that's really twisted. Turns out that the agent, provocative friend that Dash knows that he's been slipping around does actually charge him with murder, and he ends up in jail. Now, you then cut right at the end of Freya and Killian going to see him in jail, and yeah, basically Dash touches Killian and switches souls with him, so that's going to be good for the season 3, if there's going to be a season 3, not 100% if that's confirmed or not. You then see the sort of emotional scene of once they've got rid of the granddad's soul from Wendy's lover's body, she sort of has like a little moment, I'm sorry that you had to go through this, blah 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 blah. You then cut to a little scene of Joanna trying to call Frederick and she can't actually get through. Now this is where I got a bit confused. Now, could someone please tell me whether or not I'm right in the fact that I think that they haven't actually killed the granddad and he's just transformed into Frederick's body? Whether or not I'm right on that, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm really looking forward to season 3. In season 3, I'd like to know, because obviously storyline's going to develop between Freya and Killian / Dash, because he's in Killian's body. So it's going to, the relationship between them is going to develop. You're also going to see, I'm going to presume, basically the aftermath of the granddad going, or whether or not he's in Frederick's body, because you did sort of like see a glimpse of his soul, if that makes sense. It's a bit hard to describe, and sorry for that. And then you also saw, basically, as I said, Dash switches souls and bodies with Killian, so Killian's now locked in prison in Dash's body, so you're going to see the aftermath of what actually happens with that. So yeah, very much looking forward to season 3. Season 2 mark at the 10, I would happily give it a 9.5 out of 10, because every episode I wanted to know instantly what was going to happen next week. Really looking forward to it. No one in my family actually watches it because, well, James was because he's in the room at the same time, but no one else apart from me actually watched it, mainly because I like that sort of spooky, supernatural, witchy sort of series. James did recommend for me the American Horror Stories Coven series, so if anyone's watched that and think it's similar, from what is described, I think it's much, much darker, but we'll see whether or not I get around to watching that. So yeah, this has been my little review, catch-up, whatever you want to call it, of Witch of the East End Season 2. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of Season 2, because I'd really like to know. And yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. You can also, I will also leave in the description bar, I think you can buy Season 2 on DVD, I'm not 100% sure, but I'll leave that in the description bar if you can. I will also leave Lifetime UK's details, because that's where you could watch it in the UK. I'll also leave all my social network things so you can follow me if you like, just search for Luke Sam Sound and you'll soon find me. And yeah, hopefully you've liked this video. If you have, remember to give it a big thumbs up, and I'll see you again next time for another video.
Well, now it's